The API economy, in a more, what defines it is it's a digital marketplace where businesses and developers exchange APIs to create, connect, and innovate. All right. So when you think of a marketplace, you think of a place where there are different stalls. All right. And all of them are selling different products. All right. And every stall in that marketplace is actually a business on its own. So they're not directly linked, but it's a place where when a developer comes in, they have access to all of these products where they can start to pick and choose and start using. All right. And as you know, in a digital marketplace, even stalls between themselves, all right, can actually exchange products or can exchange APIs. So looking into this year, the trend is we're seeing APIs now as products. All right, they're no longer just an interface that allows you to connect, but it actually becomes a product where you can see new roles coming up called API product owners, API product managers. So APIs are now products. And with products, what we want to do is to generate revenue and also to expose it out to use or basically to collaborate with other businesses. So with this collaboration and this like interconnectivity going on with different businesses, that is when we get to innovate. All right. And that's when we get to see new and more robust applications being released. All right. So this is what we call the API economy. All right. And based on all of what I just said, all right, the benefits that you see from being part of this API marketplace, that again you get to see innovation, right? Even for yourself, whether you're a small business or an enterprise, all right, innovation is always something that needs to be present for us to stay competitive in whatever field that we are in. So if you're in banking or whether you're in health tech, right, innovation is the main thing that drives a business forward and actually grows that business. So innovation is the first thing that we want to see in this API marketplace where you share and exchange APIs. All right. And then again is revenue opportunities. You know, you start to open up new revenue streams for your organization by offering your APIs to others. All right. And then again, interoperability, all right, different applications, different systems, whether internal or external, you can now communicate with each other. So think of it like a bank where you would need to connect to maybe a payment provider or a payment provider connecting to you. All right, with your APIs being published, all right, you can see more applications coming up to use your APIs. All right, because that's the only way for them to actually make use of stuff like checking of balance, deduction, and all of that. All right, so with this API marketplace, it allows to have that very seamless operability between your different applications. All right, and then at the same time, all right, if you look into transformation, it's such a widely used term now. Everything is digital transformation, but if you think about it, it's actually to make your existing processes, especially your IT processes, all right, to remain more efficient and stay competitive, and at the same time provide a better customer experience. All right, the world is moving rapidly. All right, and if we still stick to very old processes that are not efficient, right, at some point we lose our competitive edge. All right, so APIs and being part of this API marketplace, it's one of the things that actually helps you to remain competitive as a business, all right, and as you embark on your digital transformation journey, if you have not. And then lastly, with all of this, of course, the main focus with APIs going across different organizations to different developers and all of that, we want to look at security. All right, so because it's crucial for us to protect the data and to ensure the trust of these developers who are actually using our APIs. All right, so all of these things that I'm saying is not being plucked out of air. All right, we actually have statistics. All right, so there is a API report called State of APIs. All right, and State of APIs run this report across like a huge field of developers across different industries. All right, and they run this survey or this study every year. All right, and based on the report this year, all right, which compares growth from 2022, all right, they say that over 3/4 or 3/4 of developers see participating in API economy as the priority for their organization, or they plan to prioritize it soon. All right, so this means that whichever industry that you are in, all right, understand that there are some of your competitors who are already prioritizing being part of the API economy. All right, they see the benefits in it. They know that this thing is going to be the future, and they're starting to prioritize it within their organization. And 3/4 of developer is a very large number across so many different industries. So you will understand that this is something that we, in a sense, cannot avoid. If you want your business to grow, then this is something that you have to start looking into. All right, so another thing instead of APIs report is that majority of developers relied on APIs more in 2023 than in 2022. So you can see that the reliance of API from 62.6%, it increased up to 69.2%. And this number will continue to go up. This means that developers are now, we are relying on APIs more than ever. So it's very important to note that if developers across different industries are relying on APIs, you putting your APIs either out there or whether you're going to use it with your partners is something that will benefit you for sure, because this number will continue to grow year on year. All right, so we can know that people are using APIs a lot more. All right, they're relying on it on their day-to-day, and also to support their critical systems. All right, and then we see the type of APIs that grew the most is actually partner APIs and third-party APIs. What does this mean? This means that developers are relying a lot more on third-party APIs as well as partner APIs. And these two means that you are connecting across a different organization or an external developer altogether. So the number has increased a lot in these two types of APIs. So internal APIs grew the least for this year, but partner APIs and third-party APIs are growing. So you can see that across the entire industry, whenever API is being is involved, you can tell that everyone is starting to look into providing partner APIs and then starting to use third-party APIs. So this is where you get to come in, and there's a good chance for you to be part of the API economy. Now is a good time because it's still relatively early, all right, but it gives you the time to embark on your journey, all right, to be able to be part of the API economy, right? So that is the current landscape right now involving APIs, all right? This is where a developer portal comes in. So I'm not talking about Tyk yet. I'm talking about an API developer portal in general. So why is a developer portal important? All right. Maybe even now you're thinking of a developer portal is that it's a repo of just technical information. But we want to make our customers understand, which is you folks, that it is more than that. It's actually a strategic asset that allows you to promote innovation and collaboration among developers. So when I say developers, it can be internal or it can even be external. All right, so we'll look into why or some of the factors of why a developer portal is important. All right, whether or not you are planning to release it out to the public or not. So the first thing is for sure developer onboarding. So think about it as in your current organization, if you are facing challenges whenever a new team is onboarded, and then you have a lot of APIs across different departments, or maybe you have just a few APIs, but all of them the information about it is just thrown everywhere. Think of it like, okay, maybe Confluence is here, it's there, and then the new joiner needs to have a mentor that goes through everything. But if you look at a developer portal used internally, all right, it allows new developers to get up to speed quickly and starts to reduce the time and effort that is required to onboard said developer. right? Because why? It's a central location now where developers can access resources, documentation, and tools. All right. So even if you're not exposing your APIs to the public, it is still beneficial for your internal teams, especially so if you have different departments managing different APIs. If all of these are all onboarded into a single portal, all the information is there, you also increase the collaboration between departments, which is the second point that I will go through. So enhanced collaboration. So between teams and developers now, you get to facilitate that collaboration. There is no need to go and ask, how do I integrate your API and all of that. The portal becomes the common platform for all the developers in your organization or with your partners or even externally to communicate and share knowledge. So now the portal becomes a community platform because it fosters a sense of community, and also it encourages that collaboration. With that collaboration going on intra-department or between partners or externally, you can start to see innovation coming up. All right, so this is, to me, the most important thing about having a developer portal. And with that, especially so when you start to see that, hey, some of these APIs are really gaining a lot of traction, all right, that's when you, and even those which are less popular, you can start to see an increased adoption in this API. So you could have an API that is probably having only a few calls per month, but having them onboarded, people start to understand it. Maybe it's not the problem of the API, maybe it's the problem of how information is being presented for these developers to use that API. All right, so you can see increased adoption. You can promote your APIs effectively. All right, and then you can start to explore all the available APIs, start to understand their capabilities, and then you get to see a higher adoption rate of your API. And it starts from there. It starts internally. You start to see increased adoption, better collaboration, and then from there, you can start to make the business decision to get your API out published. So how exactly do we make that business decision? This is where we come in with the portal, which is data-driven decision making, right? So with analytics and reporting capabilities in the portal itself, all right, you are able to track the usage of APIs, the performance, and user behavior. And with these analytics and reports, now business analysts can start to make informed strategic decisions, all right, and whether you want to prioritize resources to maintain and improve a certain API, or you want to retire an API which is not making any progress at all, right? So all of this combines together, to form this ecosystem for your organization, all right, to start to be a lot more effective with your current existing APIs, and then what you already have, you become more effective, and then from there you get to make better decision, and in hopes that you start to open new revenue streams, because APIs are now seen as products. Don't hide them behind within your systems, but if you see that this is something that you can bring it out, do it, gain more money out of it. All right, and then the last bit is, of course, when I'm talking about all of this, it sounds like it's for a very big company, but honestly, it is not. Even if you are a startup, you can have a very small team and have that initial portal deployed with the existing processes in. As your company grows, so does the portal. So as your company grows, you have new needs, you have new services, etc. The enterprise portal will be able to accommodate that. You unlock more features out of it, which is already available. And if needed, you can even customize it. So it continues to provide that value to your organization as you expand. So now you can see there is a little roadmap that is happening right here. You start to deploy internally, you start to have your developers collaborating, you start to see more use in your APIs. Through this collaboration, there's innovation, your APIs are improving, your teams are making these products better. With that, you have all the analytics for you to make the right decision, whether you want to bring it out to a partner, whether you want to bring it out externally. And then as your business grows, you have more products coming in, the enterprise portal will scale together with you. right? So this is why developer portals are very important in today's like in this day and age, because of all of these different benefits, and at the same time going back to that API economy that I was talking to you about, right? So with that, we come into the Tyk solution. So as you know, the previous developer portal was very bare bones. It was created by our CEO over the weekend. So we decided we see the need for a much better developer portal, and that's why we released a standalone type solution called the Enterprise Developer Portal. All right, again with Tyk, it's highly flexible. All right, and we want it to be user friendly. Right, so user friendly means that whether you're technical or non-technical, you should be able to publish the API, should be able to monetize it. All right, you should be able to look at analytics to boost API adoption. All right, at the same time, similar as before, okay, it's a even more comprehensive CMS as opposed to our old developer portal. That means that non-technical folks can just update content directly via the admin portal of this solution, right, to add in new content. All right, and then we have all the features that supports the entire API adoption journey, from developer onboarding, getting a key request, approving a key request, etc. All right, and I think the most important thing with the new portal is that you can 100% customize the portal's appearance. That means that you will no longer see powered by Tyk being added on the portal anymore. No one will know that you are running a ready-made off-the-shelf solution of the developer portal, because everything is 100% customizable. All right, so why we think that the enterprise developer portal would be a good solution to be added is basically because you are already using the Tyk API management. So the enterprise portal, the aim is that it's a standalone portal that is able to connect to different API gateways even if they are not Tyk. So that is our goal. But for now, right, we have seamless integration to the Tyk dashboard, and it is very, very efficient. You will see it in the demo later, how the enterprise portal will just pick up API products directly from the dashboard itself. At the same time, we made the enterprise portal persona focused. In APAC, we understand that a lot of our customers are working with partners. Partners have their own APIs, they're onboarding their own APIs and all of that. So the enterprise developer portal has full features that actually supports this. So we have teams, we have multiple multi-organizations, and then we even have catalog segregation. So this means that you can build up an internal, external, and partner-facing portal all within one solution. All right, and whether you're a partner, external developer, when you log in, you're going to be seeing different catalogs, different products. So this is why exactly we think that is very, very suitable for APAC, is because a lot of our customers are working with external or partner companies, right? And then at the same time, multi-deployment integration, think of it as having a test environment and a production environment, both of them connected to a single enterprise portal. So as a developer, you can come in, request for a key on the sandbox environment or the test environment, make your requests there. And then if you think that you want to build up your app and then use it into production, you can request for a key for production, and that's where it's paid. So this means that you can have different deployments as well across different partners or different departments, all of them having maybe their own type deployment. It can all connect to the same enterprise developer portal. Then moving on again, seamless integration with the Tyk gateway, all right, analytics, keys, authentication, segmented APIs, all of that can be done with the Tyk gateway and the enterprise developer portal. All right, fully customizable. You can totally customize the look according to your corporate branding. All right, and then again, back then we could only upload an OAS specification, but now we went further, and you can look at it as something like GitHub, where you can create how-to guides in Markdown, you can add in wikis, Can even put additional help for users that are both technical as well as non-technical. Right, so those are basically the key features from the enterprise developer portal that we have. All right, so in the demo itself, what we'll be covering will be, we'll look at how the enterprise portal looks like, how we can synchronize this portal to an existing Tyk deployment. All right, and then we'll have a live look at how policies, all of you must be familiar with policies, how they are synchronized into the enterprise portal as a product and as a plan. And then how we can publish these products into a catalog. And then we can also lastly make a key request and then make that API call. Right, so that will be covered in the demo. All right, but for now, we'll look into the architecture. All right, so how exactly does the enterprise developer portal look like? It's a very lightweight solution. Okay, so on your left here, you will see that you have your existing Tyk deployment. You have your gateway, your dashboard, all right, and then your Redis, PAM, and your database of choice, whether it's Postgres or MongoDB. And on the right here is where the enterprise portal comes in. So the enterprise portal is a single component, all right, that utilizes a SQL database. You deploy it externally, all right, and the only connectivity that is needed is between the portal to the dashboard. So the portal does not need to connect to all of these other components. You already have this deployed. You can just deploy the portal and database and then connect directly to the dashboard. What happens is that the portal, all right, will synchronize all of those policies into the portal as products and plans. From there, you choose which APIs that you want to publish out, and then your clients or partners that are accessing the portals will be able to take a look at your API products. All right, so the main takeaway from here is that understand that we are not touching your existing deployment. You are deploying a separate portal and database, and the connectivity is just between the portal and the dashboard, and you are good to go up and running. Right, so this is just a very simple architecture. In fact, there is no other detailed explanation that I can give you regarding the portal, because it just connects to a database and then it connects to the dashboard. That's it. There's no other complexities apart from this, right? So your existing deployment stays. You just deploy two more components here, dashboard and portal and database, and then connect it to the dashboard. So I spoke about products and plans. Okay, once those policies are synchronized to the portal, right, we'll look at them as these two new terms called products and plans. Okay, so with policies, right, okay, you will have one policy, all right, which defines the access rights. That means, as you guys know, policies allows access to which API, for example. All right, so you create a policy that allows access to an API. The moment you add it into the portal or you synchronize the portal and the dashboard, it becomes a product. So an access rights policy that exists in the dashboard, once it's synchronized into the portal, it becomes an API product. All right, and this API product will have multiple plans that are attached to it. And these plans are also actually policies. But this policy only enforces the quota. So you guys know quotas are basically how many requests you can make in a month, in a week, in a day, something like that. So this same API product will have different plans. And these plans are all actually policies on the dashboard. So you can see that in the dashboard, we have three policies right here. One that defines the access rights. Two, it defines the quota. And three, it defines another quota. So once these three policies are synchronized into the portal, you get to see that the API product is here. They have plan number 1 that allows you to make 10K requests per month. So this is the quota. And they have plan number 2, which has unlimited requests. So you can attach multiple plans to your API product. And then from there, you can add in maybe different pricing, or you can control who can actually make request. Maybe they are just a free tier developer, they can only do plan number 1, but your partners are able to take on plan number 2, for example, and both of this is for the same API product. All right, so a main takeaway is that from the dashboard, access rights policy becomes a product, a policy that enforces quota becomes a plan, right? So once it goes into the portal, seamlessly, the portal will know what to do with those policies that exist in your dashboard, right? And then once you have all of these products being added into the portal, so imagine all of your APIs are now on the portal itself, how exactly do we publish them out to internal developers or partners or external developers? We call it catalogs. So at the top here, I have 3 different API products that I've already synchronized into the developer portal, and each of them have 2 plans. Okay, however, I want to control who gets to see what. So with the product itself, all right, developers are not able to use it. You will need to publish them into a catalog. So the reason for this is that we want to have API segregation. So that means product number 1, I attach it into the public catalog, and only external developers, when they access the portal, they will only be able to view the public catalog, which only gives them access to the first API product. However, for a private catalog, I have 2 different API products, and these are partners that are able to access that private catalog. So you start to see here that in its very simplest form, policies into products, products into catalogs. And then from there, with catalogs, it just allows you to easily manage who is able to access those APIs. And when I say access, it means that to be able to look and see that API and then get information about it. And then subsequently, they can make a key request to that API, right? So in theory, we will be covering all of this again in the demo. So I just want to go through with you in theory. We have dashboard synchronization, right? How the enterprise portal synchronizes with a Tyk dashboard. That's number 1. Number 2 is how policies get synchronized into the portal as products and plans. And then the last bit is how these products and plans can get published into a catalog, and then different groups of developers can view different catalogs. All right, so this is really an introduction of and we're just scratching the surface on the power of the enterprise developer portal. Right, so some last key takeaways before we dive into the demo. All right, what we went through today is the API economy. All right, so we can see increased numbers in API adoption. All right, people are starting to rely on API more, and over 75% of developers interviewed all say that their organization is prioritizing API economy. All right, and then we understand that portals are more than just exposing APIs to developers, but it's a hub for not only external developers, but also internal and partners as well, if need be. All right, and then we look into the enterprise portal, which is a fully featured portal solution that supports whatever that we went through in the API economy, and it integrates seamlessly with your existing Tyk deployment. All right, how simple the architecture of the enterprise portal is. It just connects to a database, connects to the dashboard, done. And then we also went through products and plans as well as catalogs. So we'll now jump into the demo. All right, and in that demo, all right, we'll be going through again what I mentioned, how the portal looks like, how it connects to a dashboard, how policies are being imported as products and plans, how we can publish them, and then how as a developer you'll be able to access that particular API, for example. So before I dive into the demo, if you have any questions about anything that I went through, feel free to drop me an email. You know my email, you know Fat's email. Just drop us any question. If you want to have just a talk, you know, go for it. We are offering a full year of trial for our enterprise developer portal. So that is something that if you want to talk about it, you want to check it out, let us know. Happy to run through with you a more specific use case that you have or something like that. So I'll hand it over to Fat, and Fat will be going through the demo.
All right, thanks, Rahmat. Yeah, so I will be taking over in regards to the demo that's going to be shown for the Enterprise Developer Portal. So before we start off, I will start sharing my screen. And then, okay. Okay, so I believe everyone is able to see my screen now. Okay, so what you're looking at currently is basically the Enterprise Developer Portal admin page from the start. Okay, so when you log in initially during your bootstrapping processes, this is where you will end up with. Okay, so before we start off diving into each and every one of the features that we have on the left-hand side over here, we will start off with talking about how we can actually connect our Tyk installation over to the Enterprise Developer Portal. Okay, so as you can see, I have already two environments set up. This is just to mimic like some sort of like a sandbox environment or test environment with a production environment, meaning to say that you already have some APIs in your sandbox environment that you want to expose over to the enterprise developer portal for a start, just to test it out and see whether any external developers are going to pick it up, etc. So once it gets picked up and the traffic is ongoing, you can actually push it over to upload an API which is already in your production environment. Okay, that is just to simulate that part. Okay, so for a start, I have one deployment which is currently on my environment, is my testing environment. As you can see, the demo itself will consist of two stages. Okay, the first stage will just be explaining on how the whole process works, basically the functionality of the enterprise developer portal. And stage two will be going through one by one on how we can actually expose that API right from the start, from scratch. Basically, we're going to start creating an API, creating the policies, and then how we're going to assign it to catalogs, etc. And finally, we're going to be exposing it to the enterprise developer portal and also logging in as an external user and making a request for it. Okay, so the first stage is basically in my test environment, I already have two separate APIs created. One of them is a sample API, which is publicly exposed on my enterprise developer portal, and a hidden API, which the name states by itself that is going to be hidden from the enterprise developer portal. Okay, so as mentioned by Rahmat previously, an API is transferred over or synchronized over to the enterprise developer portal using products, right? So how do we create products for a specific API? Again, you head into policies. I've already created a sample policies attached to both of these APIs. As you can see, two policies are attached to a single API. So one of them is basically the access rights policy over here, and followed by the plans policy over here to control your rate limiting or enforce quotas. Okay, so once that's done, I will go through this one by one again as we go on for the next stage. Okay, so once we hit synchronize over in the enterprise developer portal over here, and how do we do that is basically by adding in a provider. If you head over under providers, you can see that Tyk test is already synchronized. And I have two products and two plans attached with the deployment itself, which I've shown in my previous environment. So how does it mean that it's being shown over on the enterprise developer portal the moment it's synchronized? The answer is no. If you want to expose your your API products over at the enterprise developer portal, you will need to assign them over to catalogs. Then you are able to expose them to the enterprise developer portal. Okay, so how does it look like right now? So right now I've already exposed my API along with my plans that I've attached from my previous environment. How does it actually look like in terms of the external developer? Okay, so let's say an external developer comes over to my enterprise portal. Okay, so this is what they're going to be looking at once it's up and running. I have not logged in as a user. I have not registered, but I'm trying to take a look at what catalogs are available. Okay, so if I have to take a look at catalogs, I can see that only one single catalog is available. So you might be wondering, where is the hidden API situated at? Okay, just for this demo purposes, I'm just going to make it quick. So let's say I have a separate API product for a specific partner or specific client, for example. Okay, and that user or specific client already has a user sign up for this enterprise developer portal. So now we will show you the power of the segregation between the public and private APIs. Okay, so let's say I were to log in as the hidden user. and I log in. So what will happen if I were to select catalogs? Now I'm already logged in as a hidden user. If I were to select catalogs, I'm able to see the hidden API. So this is the power of the Enterprise Developer Portal in terms of API segregation. You can allow specific catalogs to be shown only for specific users, rather than you have to expose everything in your own catalog to all users, meaning to say that it's a bit hard for you guys to perform the segregation in terms of API catalogs. Okay, so this is one of the examples I'm going to be showing you guys for this demo itself, basically the segregation. So now what happens if I want to make a request, or basically I want to try and use this specific API? So how does this flow actually work? Okay, so if I were to make, let's say I want to have a option to use the sample API. If you select this product itself, it will list down the plans that is attached together with the API products that we've shared over previously. Okay, so let's say I want to access with this plan. The API product is added to the cart. So the cart is basically on the top right-hand corner over here. So once that's done, you just head over to the cart. Take note, I'm currently using a hidden user as of right now, where I'm able to see both catalogs, because the first catalog, which is the sample API, is basically the public catalog, which is exposed to the external users. So regardless of whether I'm a hidden user or I'm not a hidden user, I can still see this catalog, except for the hidden API catalog. Okay, so when that's done, so the first point number one, point number two is quite straightforward in terms of selecting your products and selecting your plans. Okay, what is an app actually? So selecting an app. So an app basically in layman terms is like a container for you to control all your keys in terms of analytics. Okay, so basically if a user attempts to make a request or attempts to use a specific API, all the information that the user has will be contained within this specific app that will be shown over on the Enterprise Developer Portal's admin page, which I will show later on when you are making for an access request. So let's say I'm making a test for this sample app example, and I submit a request. So once the request has been sent, the admin page will have the ability to actually approve it or reject it over here. As you can see, it will be listed down in a container called sample. Okay, so once I hit approve, the hidden user will have access to this. So if I head back over to my dashboard, and I'll just select the app, and here you go. So this is my key ID that's going to be used to access that API. Over here, just select this, and just to test it out, I'll be going over to Postman and selecting this one. Okay, so right now, if I were to make a request without any authorization, it will state authorization field is missing, right? So if I were to enable authorization, and I put in the authorization key ID and hit select, send. Oh, sorry. And send. So yes, the request is passed through. Okay, so that's how we can actually make a request using the Enterprise Developer Portal. So let's say an external developer comes in and wants to or maybe use the API products. That's how you're going to be using it. So that's roughly the whole process of how the developer comes in, registers on the portal, and basically tries to use that API product itself. Okay, so not to worry, all this actually when we are making a request, even though the external user is making a request, right, the hidden user is making a request over on the using the Enterprise Developer Portal, the analytics are still being captured over on your Tyk environment as per normal. Okay, if you head over to your environment and you head over to log browser, it still gets captured over as per normal, regardless of your users that's coming in. Okay, so over here you can basically find out who is using what. Basically, the app that is the container that which I've mentioned previously, and the organization that the specific user, which in my case is the hidden user, attached to. Okay, so that is how that is the end of stage one, basically in how the whole process works with a product already created for you guys. Okay, so now we're moving on to stage two, where we're going to be creating an API from scratch, and then going to adding in the policies from scratch and exposing to the Enterprise Developer Portal. Okay, so let's take a look at my production environment. In my production environment, I have 0 policies, but I have already 1 API created so far using authentication tokens for this demo purposes. Okay, so let's say I'm already in the production environment and I want to add this over to the Enterprise Developer Portal. Okay, So how we're going to be doing that is basically you will need to firstly create an API or import an API. Once that's done, again, head over to your policy sections, and this is where you're going to be creating your policies for that API product. So heading back to the slides over here, just to share with you guys. So what needs to be done on the dashboard level from your Tyk deployment is basically you need to add in two separate policies. One of them is the access rights policy, which will be converted into the products section in the enterprise developer portal, followed by the plans policy, which will be converted over to the plans that's going to be attached to that specific product in your enterprise developer portal. So on the dashboard, you only need these two things or policies. So you head over back to my environment, and now we create a policy. So we'll select the API. So one of them, let's say this is the first policy that's going to be created, is going to grant the access rights, right? Okay, so under global remits and quota itself, you can uncheck this usage quota and enforce rate limiting options, because you're just going to be using this policy to enforce the access rights. Okay, get over to configurations, and this is where you will control the name of the specific API product that's going to be exposed over on the enterprise developer portal. So I'll put it as 1 hour, and I create the policy. So secondly, we will need the second API or second policy or third policy in order to manage the plans, right? So we add in maybe two policies just to show the plans policy. Okay, so next for the plans policy, again, we'll just need to uncheck enforce rights, but we need to enforce usage quotas and enforce rate limiting. Okay, so for this plan itself, you're just going to be putting it as the free plan, allowing maybe say 5 requests every 10 seconds. And let's put in 50 for an hour. So head over to configurations and put it as free plan. And create a policy. And here you go. Now you have one plan attached to the API. So let's say we want to have another separate plan attached to that API itself. We can do the same thing. We just need to uncheck enforce access rights. So let's say this policy gives you unlimited access to that specific API. You can uncheck all that, and we put in as unlimited plans. And you create a policy. So there you go. So now we have 3 policies. Like I said, these 2 plans are attached to the API products, which will come out as your plans in the enterprise developer portal, followed by the access rights policy, which will appear as the products in the enterprise developer portal. So now how do we bring this over to the enterprise developer portal? Simple. Head over back to your enterprise developer portal page, and you head over under providers. Okay, and you basically just need to add a new provider. So let's say like the name, just give it a name. So the URL, what is the URL? Is basically the host name of your dashboard. Get that, and hit back. Okay, the secret is your dashboard API key, followed by the organization ID, which can be retrieved over under users on your dashboard. So this is my dashboard API key. Oh, sorry. My user, my organization ID, and I bring it back over to the enterprise developer portal, and I just hit save. Okay, once that's done, it is not synchronized yet, as you can see over here, not sync, and the status is unknown. So what needs to be done next is just to hit the synchronize button, and it's done. As you can see, it is automatically adding in the single product, which is the Planets API, followed by the 2 plans that we have attached together with it, which is the free plan and the unlimited plan. So now, is it exposed over on the enterprise developer portal? Like I said previously, no. Okay, even though, just to show you guys, let's say I'm logged out. I log out, and I want to head over to the catalogs page again. So as you can see, there's no Planets API that's been created as of right now, because it is simply not being attached to a specific catalog. Like I said over here, it is not published because it's not attached to a catalog. So this is where you can control in terms of where you want this API to be exposed with. Either you want it to be exposed publicly, or you want it to be exposed just for that specific catalog, together with that specific catalog, which has the access privileges for the hidden user. Okay, so let's say I want to expose this API, this new API over in the hidden catalog. Okay, So how do I do that? Actually, you can just head over to your catalog section on the left-hand side over here. And you can select the hidden catalog or the sample catalog, which shows the visibility being set as private or public. So if you select hidden catalog, you can actually control what are the products that's going to be exposed over in the hidden catalog. So right now it only has hidden API. I want to add plan as API, so it's together. What about plans? Do you still want to use the hidden API unlimited plan? If not, you can just remove this and add in your plans that we have created from our environment. Unlimited plan and free plan. So once that's done, you just hit save. So now it is exposed over on the Enterprise Developer Portal. As you can see the changes here, one product is being added on. Okay, so now if you were to go in back to the Enterprise Developer Portal and we log in as a hidden user, login, and we see the catalogs. There you go. So now we have additional planners API, which can be seen only for this specific user and not for other external developers. So let's say if I were to create another user or use another user to log in, that specific user will not be able to take a look at these two APIs as long as they are not available in the hidden catalog section. Okay. So once that's done, and also if you were to go through the API products, we're going to be touching a bit on the API documentation. Okay, so let's say I were to go to my sample API. Just take a look over at my sample API, what we have in store for our documentation, right? We just select more info and we just select API specifications. This is just a sample API specifications that I've added in using a YAML file over on the Enterprise Developer Portal. Okay, if you take a look at the get started pages, this is the same thing where you can actually put in your details in regards to how to use your APIs, for example, and you can actually customize them up to your own will, and you can continue adding on to the list if you have much information or much documentation to be added on for that specific API. Okay, so in terms of format, we do accept HTML or markdown formats in terms of getting started pages to put in your API documentation. For API specifications, I'm just using a YAML file to be added in. I will show you also after this. Okay, so let's say sample API product, like what you've seen just now previously. This is where I'm adding in my images for my product. So moving down to our API resources and API documentation. Okay, so not to confuse you guys, API resources basically refers to the API specifications that are attached together with your API. So if you select API resources, like I said, I'm using a YAML file. I've uploaded a YAML file into this API resources so that it will be published over as an API specification. Okay, so moving down now about the getting started pages. Okay, that will be logged in under the API documentation tabs. Like I said, you can either use either HTML or you can use markdown versions for your documentation. Okay, and you can continue adding in as much documentation as you want, and it will just appear on the left hand side as your different tabs over here. Okay, so I've already created the API, right, in my API products. So let's try and test it out whether it's actually working or not if I were to make a request on the newly imported API. So if I head over back to my hidden user and I were to go back to my catalogs overview page, and I'll just select plan as API, and I'll see the two plans that has been attached to it that we have created from our prod environment deployment. Okay, we can see free plan and we can see unlimited plan. So let's say I want to access this API with the unlimited plan. Next, same way goes, you need to go to the card on the top right hand side and we need to create an app again, or you can use an existing app if it's a specific user. Logging in using the specific container that you want to use it together with the other API products. But for this demo itself, I'm going to be using a separate container. And I will submit the request. Go to my apps. Again, access request will be granted over here. Where is the app? Planet. And then I'll just hit approve. Once that's done, I'll head over back to my Planet app and I can see the credentials used over here. So just grab this and head over back to Postman. And, This is running through my gateway. And, just add in the authorization and send. There you go. I have made a request using my newly created API and basically the newly exposed API over on the Enterprise Developer Portal. So now to check for analytics, I'll just go back to my prod environment and I'll just head over to the log browser and there you go. It has been created and it's been logged in under the log browser. So that basically sums up the process on how you can actually create an API from scratch, creating the two policies that's attached to the API product. Sorry, it's not two policies. Basically, the plans are unlimited based on how many plans that you have in store for the specific API product. You just need to attach those policies over to the API product and just hit the synchronize button on the provider section. And it will just be synchronized automatically for you. And next, you will just need to publish it over by selecting which catalog you want it to be exposed with. You can actually add in multiple catalogs for your specific use case, or even like, say, for example, partners organization or like a secret organization or maybe a publicly available organization just for the sake of exposing your APIs into the external developer portal. Okay, so for the next section, we'll be going through on how we can actually control the usages for a specific developer. We'll touch on organizations, your teams, and your users, and also the invite codes which can be used, which is a very powerful feature that we have in order to like shorten the time for developers coming in from a company. For example, okay, let's just give a scenario. I'm from company A and I'm attempting to sign up as a user on the Enterprise Developer Portal, right? So let's say I'm someone from company A and hey, what's this new Enterprise Developer Portal that I want to check it out? So I head over to the catalogs. I see this API which is free and available for usage. I attempt to use it and I'm happy with the results that I have so far. So let's say I have a colleague from company A as well, which I want him to get involved with this. So how does your colleague come in to register to the portal? Does he have to go through the process of registering and going over and having the names being attached to that specific container or app that you have created for that specific test? No, you can actually not do all that because that's a very long thought process. Rather than doing that, you can actually have the ability to create an organization from that specific user. Okay, so let's say I'm someone, user A, who is logged in, already registered on the Enterprise Developer Portal, and I want to create an organization for that specific user from the same company. I can create an organization within the Enterprise Developer Portal, which allows me to send invite codes to my other colleagues in company A, therefore reducing the time for them to actually register. They can just come in, log in with their credentials, and done. They're already inside with the shared containers for company A. So that is some of the features that we have in store also, which we will be describing in the next section, which is part 2 as well.